from the point of view of stakeholders, a doctor is expected to positively conclude the medical opinion immediately after a medical examination, forgetting that medical evidence and findings observed during a medical examination varies depending upon many conditions like delay in medical examination, post-assault activities, type of assault, etc. Now, to remind you what are the legal obligations of health professionals, as per section 164A, examination of a case of rape shall be conducted by a RMP without delay, and a meticulous and reasoned report to be prepared by the RMP. As per the Criminal Law Amendment Act 2013, both private and public health professionals are obligated to provide treatment to sexually assaulted victim. And third, and the most important, the denial of treatment of rape survivor is punishable under section 166B with imprisonment of a term which may extend to 1 year, with fine or without fine, or both. Now, what is this medical opinion? Medical opinion is a part of medico-legal report. Now, what is this medico-legal report? That once we examine the patient, we collect the evidences. While doing this procedure, we have to submit a medico-legal report to the police as well as forensic lab. So we form this medico-legal report, and medical opinion is a part of that medico-legal report. It has to be based on the proper scientific reasoning, explaining both positive and negative findings during medical examination. The issue of whether an incident of rape or sexual assault has occurred is a legal issue and not a medical diagnosis. So consequently, doctors cannot and should not, on the basis of the medical examination, conclude whether rape or sexual assault has occurred or not. Only findings in relation to medical findings should be recorded in the medical report. Now, just to remind, what is a sexual violence? It is any sexual act, attempt to obtain a sexual act, unwanted sexual comments, advances, acts to traffic, or otherwise directed against a person's sexuality. Whereas sexual assault is a form of sexual violence, means it is a part of the sexual violence, is used synonymously with rape. Sexual assault includes anything from touching another person's body in a sexual way without consent to forced sexual intercourse, oral and anal sexual acts, child molestation, fondling, and attempted rape. Now, why I am discussing this sexual assault and sexual assault? Because the basic part of both this phenomenon is sexual act. So what we give in our opinion, we talk about sexual act, not about sexual assault or rape. So whatever opinion we are giving based on our examination is to give whether a sexual act has occurred or not. So now, what are the types of sexual act? Sexual act include genital, anal, or oral penetration by the penis, fingers, or other objects, as well as any form of non-consensual sexual touching, or any other act with sexual intent which involves physical contact without penetration. The sexual act may not only be penetration by the penis, but also slightest penetration of the vulva of the penis, such as minimal passage of glands between the labia, with or without emission of semen or rupture of the hymen. So there could be injuries inflicted on the survivor by the accused and by the survivor on the accused. However, the absence of signs of struggle does not imply consent. What all constitutes a medical opinion in a case of sexual assault? Now, there are 4 points which we are supposed to highlight on our medical opinion. One is whether a sexual act has been attempted or completed. Secondly, age of the survivor. Third, whether alcohol or drugs have been administered to the survivor to ascertain mental incapacity to give consent due to the effect of disease, ethyl alcohol, narcotic drugs, or psychotropic substances. And fourth, any evidence to identify accused or assailants during medical examination in the form of collection of DNA material through collection of hair, semen, blood, nail clippings, etc. So, whatever opinion we are going to form, it has to have these 4 points into consideration. Now, what has happened? After the Criminal Law Amendment Act 2013, there is a gross change in the importance of medical evidence. Before 2013, medical evidence was of a great importance because we were talking only about penetrative sexual intercourse. But after the Nirbhaya case, we have amended our act, and non-penetrative sex as per POXO Act, as well as infiltration by objects and weapons, fingers, they all are included in the definition of sexual assault. So, in case of non-penetrative sexual violence or penetration by objects or body parts, there may not be any medical evidence at all. This has to be clearly understood by doctors, police, lawyers, courts, and all other stakeholders in providing justice to survivors, victims of sexual violence. So this is the most important point that we have to take into consideration. Now, there are certain limitations of medical opinion. Medical opinion cannot be framed in certain circumstances due to post-assault activities like bathing, douching, washing, urination, defecation, etc. undertaken by the survivor victim, delay in reporting for medical examination, healing of injuries and STIs post-assault, use of condom and non-availability of documents to prove treatment received, case sheet, discharge slip, prescription copy, etc., where patient has come to us on request to police, but original papers are not available with the patient. Now, while forming our medical opinion, we again have to revise that how we proceed in a case of sexual assault, that we take case particulars, that is detailed history of the sexual assault, date and time, in case of multiple incidents, how many times, description of incident, any history of drug, alcohol intoxication, whether the assault occurred during sleeping or in an unconscious condition, type of physical assault, whether it is penetrative, non-penetrative, means all the details of sexual assault. Because we have to write this history of sexual assault in nutshell in our opinion, and as well as we have to corroborate the history with our examination. Now, what we see after history is the injuries. Injuries can be on the body of the victim or on the genital parts of the victim. So pattern of injury on the body can vary from no injury to grievous injury, which is rare. It is said that only in 33% cases of sexual assault we find any physical injuries. So injuries again are of course very important if they are present, but their absence does not rule out the sexual assault. Then local examination of genital and other orifice, which includes external genitalia examination, PS and PV findings if we have done, anus and rectum examination in concern of bleeding, tear, discharge, edema, etc. So these all we have to mention the injuries on the body diagrams, which are already printed on the medical legal report available with us, which is available with us in safe kit in blank form, and we have to fulfill that medical legal report in a sequential manner so that we do not miss any point. And the medical opinion part is a part of that medical legal report, and after history taken and examination and evidence collection, we come to the medical opinion part. Then in sample collection also we have to write, we have to see what all samples we have collected, we have to see about clothing, genital swabs, smear, washing, etc., oral samples, urine samples, blood samples, and if we have done any ultrasound for pregnancy, internal injury, x-ray for injury. Then, so first point was what is the type of sexual assault. Now the second comes opinion for age. Now, verification of the age of the victim during medical examination is required if only in the cases where those documents or certificates which are found to be fabricated, means patient comes and gives her their certificate that I am 18 years of age. But when you see her physically, you find no, her age is not more than 14 years. So in this case where you found them to be fabricated or manipulated, the court, the JJ Board of the Child Welfare Committee need to go for medical report for age determination. Hence, only in those cases where documentary proof of age is not available or seems fabricated or manipulated, medical age verification test need to be conducted. However, if we do a medical verification test, then opinion for age is given as after performing general physical, dental, and radiological examination. I am of the considered opinion that age of this person is between this and this years with a range of this and this months or years, dated so and signature and name of the medical officer is to be there. Now, everything is we have done taken the history, we have done the examination, we have verified the age, and we have taken the samples. Now comes the medical opinion. So one is provisional clinical opinion and one is final opinion. Provisional clinical opinion drafting should be done immediately after examination of survivor on the basis of history and finding of detailed clinical examination of the survivor. So the provisional opinion must in brief mention relevant aspects of the history of sexual violence, clinical findings, and samples which are sent for analysis to FSL as well as hospital lab. Inference must be drawn in the opinion correlating the history and clinical findings. So how to give the inference in our opinion? Now, this is a format which has been given on 2014 guidelines of Ministry of Health and Family Welfare on page number 32. So our opinion now basically is based on the history and examination of injuries. Examination of injuries, again, presence of genital injuries and presence of physical injuries. So this is very important. The third column, this is the opinion which we are really going to write as an inference that with the victim gives history of such and such, and these type of injuries are present. Like if genital injury is present, physical injury is also present, then we will give the opinion that signs suggestive of recent forceful penetration of vagina or anus are present. Sexual violence cannot be ruled out. Why sexual violence cannot be ruled out? This is not written in the opinion, but sometimes we may have to document the positive as well as negative findings. So the sexual violence will be ruled out once the evidence for semen is present or absent is found by the FSL lab. Now, in the second condition, again, the same opinion will be given because the physical, only we have to justify. This is the case where genital injuries are present, but physical injuries are absent. So we have to write that evidence, signs suggestive of recent forceful penetration of vagina anus is present, but we have to give this opinion that lack of physical injuries could be because of the survivor being unconscious, under the effect of alcohol/drugs, overpowered or threatened. It could be because there was fingering or penetration by an object. So we have to clearly give the opinion that why there is no physical injuries or why there is presence of genital injuries. Similarly, there may be a case where genital injuries are absent, but physical injuries are present. So we can say that there are signs of use of force. However, any type of penetration cannot be ruled out because again, the penetration can be with any object, it can be fingering. So the lack of genital injuries could be because of use of lubricants or survivor being unconscious under the effect of alcohol, drugs, overpowered or threatened. So we have seen the three scenarios where both injuries are present. Second, where one injury is present. Third, also one injury is present, one injury is absent. Now, the fourth scenario is when there is no genital injury and no physical injury. And again, then we have to give the opinion that there are no signs of use of force. However, final opinion is reserved pending availability of forensic science laboratory reports. Sexual violence cannot be ruled out. Why it cannot be ruled out? Because patient in history is saying that I have been I am a victim of sexual assault. So based on that history, you have to give opinion whether whatever patient is saying or whatever police has asked you, whether you can give opinion about that or not, whether you can say whether there was a sexual violence or not. So you can only say that sexual violence cannot be ruled out because lack of physical injuries can be because there was fingering or penetration, and lack of genital injuries again because there was a use of lubricant or patient was unconscious. So this can only be ruled out when we give evidence, when we get evidence from FSL based on semen, lubricant, drug, or alcohol. So I think till this point, I have made it clear that we have to give all the positive and negative findings before giving the inference of our opinion. So this is the format which is given again in the guidelines, that I have examined so and so examiner, aged victims, aged so and so, reporting type of sexual violence. This history reporting is brief history to give is very important. After so many days and hours after the incident, after having bathed, douched, or any other activity, my findings are as follows: that I have collected the samples, and these are the samples which I have sent for the forensic lab. I have collected the samples, and these are the samples which have been sent for the hospital laboratory. My clinical findings, which are as follows, which I have shown as far as injuries are concerned on the diagram of the medical report, and additional observations, if any, and then I come to the inference that genital and physical injuries are present, suggestive of forceful penetration and insertion, or only genital injuries are present, suggestive of forceful penetration of insertion, or only physical injuries are present, suggestive of use of force. However, penetration or insertion cannot be ruled out, or neither genital nor physical injuries are present, suggestive of no use of force. However, sexual assault cannot be ruled out. So, it should always be kept in mind that normal examination findings neither refute nor confirm the forceful sexual intercourse. Hence, circumstantial evidence or other evidence may please be taken into consideration. Absence of injuries may be due to inability of survivor to offer resistance to the assailant because of intoxication or threats. This reasoning must be mentioned while formulating the opinion. Now comes the final opinion. Final opinion has to be given immediately after the receipt of the laboratory investigative reports from the hospital laboratory and or FSL or both. Based on, now we have got 3 points with us: history, examination findings, mainly the injuries, and the reports of the lab investigations. Final opinion is concluded. The negative evidence due to absence of semen because of use of condom, or because of the survivor was menstruating at the time of assault, or washing of genitals, bathing by the survivor, or delay in medical examination, again has to be explained and documented. It is always better if the doctor finalizes the final opinion well before getting into the witness box. Now, this is the page number 36 and 37 of the 2014 guidelines. This is the format to be used for the final opinion. And I think the first 3 lines of these, first 3 columns of this report can very well be used as a final inference of the final opinion. So in the cases where genital injuries, physical injuries present, which we have given already in our provisional report. Now the FSL report comes and report says that in this case it is positive for presence of semen, then we can confer that we can conclude that there are signs suggestive of forceful vaginal and anal intercourse. We are not saying here whether it is because of rape or it is because of sexual assault, but this is based on the history that we are saying that there are forceful vaginal or anal intercourse. Secondly, when there are genital, again that 4 columns, when the genital injuries are present but physical injuries are absent, again it is positive for semen, presence of semen is, then again signs are suggestive of forceful vaginal and or anal intercourse as the history says. Now, when both when genital injuries are absent and physical injuries are present, these are the different columns which we will have to use based on our provisional report and report of the final report from the FSL. Now the main question comes when the assault is of non-penile penetration type, where there is genital injury present, there is physical injuries present, and FSL report is negative for presence of either semen or alcohol in the urine, as well as blood, drugs, and lubricant. So we have to say there are no signs suggestive of vaginal oblique anal intercourse, but there is evidence of physical and genital assault. So now we say that only assault is present. We are not talking about any intercourse or any penetration. So these again are the different columns which will depend upon the final conclusion will depend upon the our provisional preliminary report as well as report of the FSL. Now the problem comes when there is no evidence, that is evidence is absent, as well as genital injuries are absent in our preliminary report, and physical injuries are absent. So there is, but FSL report is positive for presence of lubricant only. So there is a possibility of vaginal oblique anal penetration by lubricated object. This classification may be finding difficult to us to understand at present, but once we go step by step, taking the history, taking the examination, and based on our provisional report, I think it becomes quite easy for us to make our final report based on the reports of the hospital lab as well as FSL lab. Now, opinion of non-penetrative assault, where there is bite marks are present, where there is sucking marks are present, marks for forceful fondling are present, only marks present for forceful kissing, and FSL detects salivary stains. So these are the other varieties of sexual assault where there is either a fondling is there or kissing is there. So here also we have to give the opinion based on the report of FSL, and we can say that there are signs suggestive of evidence of bite marks, there are signs suggestive of sucking, there are signs suggestive of forceful physical injuries on the area. There are signs, because even this much of sexual proof of sexual violence will take the accused to the court, and a due punishment will be given to the accused. So what I mean to say that whatever finding we find, may it be positive or may it be negative, but based on the history and based on the examination, we have to give an opinion accordingly, so that at least something is to be done, can be done for the accused in the court. So in every case of medical examination, there may not be an affirmative final opinion for reasons such as delay in reporting for medical examination, post-assault activities, type of sexual violence, facilities available at the time of medical examination, etc. In such cases, it is the responsibility of the doctor to correlate the history of assault with the non-availability of medical evidence and provide reasoned opinion. We should not say that there is no medical evidence, so we cannot say anything. And in that case, the accused goes scot-free. So at least we should make some opinion based on the history with due justification of non-availability of medical evidence. So non-availability of medical evidence does not mean that sexual violence has not occurred. Now, there are certain questions which, now there are two conditions. Patient can come to us directly and say that this is my history and I want to get myself medically examined. Secondly, the victim may come to you through police, and then police may ask you certain questions that you give opinion regarding the following questions. So I will just read out 3 or 4 questions which are very common, which police ask us to give opinion at the time of preliminary examination. That means at the time of examination when we are going to give the provisional opinion. So they may ask us, how should the doctor respond to the police requisition asking to rule out rape after medical examination of the survivor victims? So just after medical examination, they want us to rule out rape. So we should not answer this question, and we should know that as per law, the police are empowered to ask any question to the doctor based on their investigation in a case of sexual violence. But doctor cannot rule out rape by medical examination, as rape is a legal term, but the doctor can draw inference from the medical examination of the survivor based on a positive or negative findings of the examination. Thus, doctors should clarify their inability to rule out rape by medical examination. So they cannot rule out rape, but they can say that sexual violence cannot be ruled out or is present, and the final opinion will be given based on the FSL reports. Can the doctor give opinion or whether the rape or sexual assault occurred? So in first question opinion, they wanted to rule out. In the second opinion, they want to confirm. So doctors cannot give opinion on whether rape or sexual assault has occurred, as these are legal terms to be decided by the court. Now, third question is, should a doctor give provisional opinion in every case examined? Yes. Whatever the doctor has got positive examination finding. So in the cases where we have definite positive examination, like if the facilities are there and if we are doing and there is a finding of motile spermatozoa, we should positively give our opinion that motile spermatozoas are seen, which way help the police to take action against accused. So whenever the doctor has got a positive examination findings such as presence of injuries like genital and physical, STIs, or when wet smear examination is positive for spermatozoa, the doctor should give provisional opinion immediately. However, there is very important to note that in every case of medical examination, there may not be an affirmative provisional opinion for reason such as delay in reporting for medical examination, post-assault activities. Means these are the lines which we have to write in the opinion till we don't have any positive evidence that it may be due to delay in reporting of medical examination, type of sexual violence, facilities available at the time of medical examination, etc. It is important to furnish provisional opinion, otherwise the investigating officer gets stranded, being unable to frame charges against the accused and or to the arrest of the accused. So our main motto of this medical examination, why 2014 guidelines have compelled us to do all these things, because we really want that the number of sexual violence should decrease. A woman should get her dignity. So we have to help the police and the court in giving our opinion as far as possible. We should not be dubious in our giving our opinion. So another question is it difficult or not possible to issue provisional opinion? It is not difficult for a doctor to provide a provisional opinion. The doctor can always provide provisional opinion about presence of spermatozoa if done, injuries, etc. As a defensive practice, which is commonly done, doctors mostly opine in the following manner: opinions reserved pending for want of FSL laboratory reports. Disadvantage of such type of opinion is that in such cases the investigating officers are unable to proceed further, and the accused generally gets the benefit of doubt and may even get bail as an outcome of such practices of doctors. So I think we, after having such long discussions on the examination as well as opinion as well as discussions, I think we should try to give a opinion which is of use rather than doing a defensive practice. Now, how to opine about sexual violence when both physical and genital injuries are absent and FSL reports are negative for presence of semen, alcohol, drug or lubricants. In such cases, if history of sexual violence is reported but medical examination does not find any injuries, we can say the possibility of sexual violence cannot be ruled out on account of history provided by the survivor. So history, the victim has given us the history, so we cannot rule out sexual violence. And victim in relation to nature of assault, activities undertaken after the assault, and the time lapse between assault and medical examination. Hence, in such cases, the investigating officer has to look for other corroborative or circumstantial evidences also beyond medical evidence. So absence of injuries or negative laboratory results, as I have discussed many times, this may be not available due to many conditions: delay in reporting, activities like bathing, etc., use of condom, vasectomy, or disease of VOS. These can also cause absence of semen in the case of vaginal intercourse. The reasoning must be mentioned while formulating the opinion. It should always be kept in mind that normal examination findings neither refute nor confirm the forceful sexual intercourse. Hence, circumstantial and other evidence may please be taken into consideration. How should the doctor respond to the police requisition asking to find out whether the person is habituated to sex after medical examination of the person? As per section 146 of IEA, it is illegal to ask questions related to past sexual acts of the survivor / victim. That means post-consensual sexual acts are immaterial when the current act of sexual violence is being examined. Hence, the doctor need not to give an opinion to the question of the police requisition asking to find out whether the person is habituated to sex. Are there any templates for issuing reason medical opinion? Yes, I have already shown you the tables. These are page number 32, 35, and 36 of guidelines of 2014. Now to sum up, my summing up is based on the decision of the case laws, clearly bringing out the importance of documentation of history of assault as narrated by the survivor, then also bringing out the relevance of corroborating history with medical evidence. Medical evidence could be lost. We all have to know that medical evidence could be lost due to post-sexual assault activities undertaken by the survivor. If, however, medical evidence is available, the doctor should immediately provide a reasoned opinion. The case law further revealed that doctors should be sensitive and scientific while conducting medical examination and collection of a medical evidence. They should not re-victimize the survivor by conducting the two-finger test or commenting on elasticity of orifices. The pronouncements further categorically state that doctors should not comment on past sexual history. The judgment also bring out that in rape cases, crucial piece of evidence is the testimony of the victim or survivor. Now, in October 2022, there is a judgment from the High Court, and I could not find the details of that this thing, but it clearly says that even at the preliminary examination, patient do not give consent for FIR. Means at the time she says that I don't want to do a police case, but after some time she goes to the court and says that I have been a victim of sexual assault. The court is in favor of the victim. So this is sufficient to prove. So the testimony of the victim or survivor as conviction of the accused can be based on her sole testimony. The medical evidence, absence of medical evidence is of no effect. This is sufficient to prove the crime, and the absence of injuries, both physical and or genital, should not be considered as sexual violence not having taken place. Injuries could be absent, again, because the victim was threatened or intoxicated or late in reporting the incident. Further, with the change in rape laws to include non-penetrative acts and insertion of objects and body parts like fingering, in addition to penetrative acts, trace evidence in the form of spermatozoa, semen, blood, lubricant may not be found. The court must, while evaluating evidence, remain alive to the fact that in case of rape, no self-respecting woman would come forward in court just to make a humiliating statement against her honor, such as is involved in the commission of rape. So, rape is a crime and not a medical condition. Rape is a legal term and not a diagnosis to be made by the medical officer treating the victim. The only statement that can be made by the medical officer is that there is evidence of recent sexual activity. Whether rape has occurred or not is a legal conclusion, not a medical one. So that is the reason why even the opinion of the doctor that there was no evidence of sexual intercourse or rape is at times held to be not sufficient to disbelieve the accusation of the rape by the victim. So ultimately, it is the testimony of the victim which is taken into consideration into the court. Thank you.